take 427. Greetings, fellow captains, and welcome back to another in-depth review of World of Warships Legends with the Hive Hand. And today we are going to be taking a look at the brand new legendary tier Schlieffen. So I'm going to get it out of the way right at the start, okay? Don't shoot me, I'm just the messenger, okay? I'll just talk about this stuff. No decisions are made by me, so please hold your fury for others if you have got it. If you want to discuss the project, let me know. Just let me know in the comments below. I'll happily chat with anyone about it. But basically, there is a border to entry to get the Schlieffen. You either have to part with 30 million credits or 5,000 doubloons. Basically, Wargaming's explanation to this, which is pretty much exactly the same as their explanation for the recent changes to Bureau projects, is barriers to entry. I don't think anyone can deny the level of quality of gameplay at Legendary tier can be pretty horrific. And they don't want a massive influx of the Schlieffens, come, a month or two when everyone would have got around to finishing the Bureau project. So to try and stem the tide of Schlieffens taking over Legendary tier, there is two barriers to entry. There is the 30 million credits or 5,000 doubloons to buy the project, and then throughout the project you need to have, I believe it's the tier 5, might be the tier 6 and tier 8 tech tree versions of the ship. So part of the tech tree line to unlock the ship. Okay, please stop screaming at your monitors or your screens, your phone right now. It's not my fault. Comment below and we can have a chat about it afterwards. Not a problem at all. So let's talk about the Schlieffen itself. So the Schlieffen is based on the Chanel Kampf Schiffe. I'll put the correct spelling. If anyone knows how the hell you pronounce that, please let me know. GK5041, a design cancelled at the end of World War One. This has had some top tier wargaming magic sprinkled on it, so it's got an updated superstructure, improved secondary batteries, and has a splash of sonar added into it, making the Schlieffen a top tier German battlecruiser for World of Warships Legends. It does have battlecruiser dispersion, which is a nice buff over the general German battleship dispersion that we're used to. A reasonably good leap reload at only 30 seconds, good ballistics, improved HE penetration, and very wide torpedo firing arcs, making them actually very, very usable. It also comes with enhanced German secondary accuracy, 8 kilometer base range, which can be maxed out at 12.8 with the current commanders available. 8 kilometer torpedoes, which travel at 54 knots. A well-protected citadel, and all the ingredients needed to make a very menacing ship, even at Legendary tier. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Unfortunately, the AP pen is not particularly great, and the HE shell damage is kind of trash. Maximum AP shell damage is 4,200. To put it into context, to give some perspective on that figure, the tier 5 American Arizona, which also has 15-inch guns, its HE does 5,000 damage. And that's a tier 5, okay? Schlieffen does also have quite a large turn-in radius. The lowest hit point pool at the tier, when you're comparing it, yes, it's got 80,000 hit points, it's quite a lot. But when you compare it to the Yamato, the GK, even the Conqueror, when you add the fact that it's got the super heals, it's definitely a bottom feeder on hit points. Limited damage cons means you can very quickly burn through them, especially when pushing multiple ships as well. So yeah, it's a menace, but it's a menace that you have to treat with kiddie gloves. So let's get into the playstyle. So what I have learned over the last couple of days playing the Schlieffen, which I have done quite a lot, is everything you think you know about playing legendary tier in a German battleship, like the GK, forget about it. It's completely different. You don't have that ridiculous armor. You don't have the massive hit points. You do have to be a bit more subtle and a bit more cautious when making pushes into fights. The guns are mediocre at best. So to rack up damage, to rack up kills, to really have an impact on the battle, you have to get into secondary and torpedo ranges and effectively use them. So the tactic I've developed that I've turned out to really actually enjoy, and it does make this ship, it makes the ship really, really fun to play, is what could only really describe or call as guerrilla warfare. What you want to do, you want to find 1 or 2 ships on their own, preferably 2. You can easily take on 2 ships. Use the islands, get in close, make up for that lackluster main armament with the secondaries and the torpedoes. And fast and furious is key. The longer the fight goes on, the lower your chances are of coming out on top. You've really got to get in there, smash them, and get out, because you don't have the damage cons for a prolonged fight. And, well, unless, depending on your perks, you can take up to a maximum of 5 heals, but you don't want to be sitting there burning down all the time. It's really not going to help you out. And so I know it sounds fantastic. It's like, I can smash 2 ships. Yes, you can, but don't take on 3 or more ships. That's like a big no-no. If there's more than 2, and definitely if there's more than 3 ships, you really don't want to be pushing in. You have the armor scheme looks good, but it's actually quite limited. The limited damage cons, like taking fire from 3 ships, you're going to get sent back to port really, really quickly. So we'll dive into the meat and bones a little bit more. So 30-second base reload. It has 8 420mm guns, as mentioned. And as mentioned before, it's easily the worst in the tier. The HE scores low damage with a 25% fire chance, mediocre AP pen. They are more reliable than German BB lines, but it's still a German battleship, well, battle cruiser. So overall, the guns are never going to blow you away. But one thing to note, the gun angles, the firing angles on the guns are actually really good. You can fire a full broadside, I believe, showing an angle of 65 degrees. So only a slight turn in after releasing your guns, and you're getting into auto bounce territory, which can be quite good. The secondary battery literally puts everything else to shame. 12 105mm and 16 150mm secondaries with a 2.8 and a 6.4 second reload, respectively. Max range of 12.8 with a right build. The enhanced secondary accuracy, which is equal to that of the Brandenburg and the likes of the Massachusetts. And not only that, to top it off, the Schlieffen comes with 4. Yes, 4 times 4 secondaries, that's torpedo tubes. That is 16 torpedo launchers with an 8-kilometer range and a 16,533 damage at 54 knots. And that very wide torpedo arc, very wide torpedo firing angles, which makes them really, really usable. The armor, now if you look at the armor model of the Schlieffen, you're going to be like, wow, that thing looks like an absolute beast. It's basically an enigma. It looks like a real tank, but it's not. It's anything but. Above the 60mm icebreaker, which is on the bow, it's just 27mm thick. So most battleships can easily overpen your bow. It also has casemate mounted secondaries, which will give some unflattering penetration angles. So where you'd expect to be getting citadels, even off heavy cruisers, where you'd expect them to be getting ricochets, even off heavy cruisers, they will penetrate you, particularly if they hit the casemate mounts of those secondaries, and you will take quite a significant amount of damage pretty quickly. The Citadel, however, is extremely well protected, and it has spaced armor as well. So unless you're an idiot sailing flat broadside, which you have absolutely no reason to due to the firing angles and the torp angles on this ship, taking Citadels should be an incredibly rare event. So overall, honestly, I have had nothing but fun playing the Schlieffen, racking up ridiculous amounts of secondary hits, being very aggressive with the torpedoes. Altogether, it is a very strong package, but as mentioned, you do need to exercise a degree of caution, avoid prolonged fights, particularly with anything more than 2 ships, because it'll not work out particularly well for you. I'll go into my personal recommendation for builds. Obviously, you'll take secondary mods 1 and 2, the epic secondary mod if you have it. The rudder shift mod 1, or mod 2, sorry, to improve its rather shocking agility, and it definitely helps you out getting those torpedoes away quickly. And concealment. You want to get into brawling range as fast as possible, and concealment is going to do that for you. For your commander, I would opt for either Hyde or Ciliax for a full secondary build, taking aboard Haruna and Hipper as inspirations if you have them. I forget who he's called. Is it Gillespie that has the secondary reload buff? If you don't have the anime weeb commander that is Haruna, there is an option for you as well. Perks, I'd go for a good day's work, Porcupine, Firefighter, Master Mechanic. Honestly, those 2 extra heals are definitely worth it over the further bonuses from using Properly Meticulous for your 4th slot. And if you have Ciliax, obviously you got the option to run the classic skill to rebuild. But if you're like me and you run Hyde, fight fire with fire is definitely the best option. With you only having 3 damage cons, it is kind of limited, so the additional help, especially if you're getting spammed by some of the high tier HE ships, fight fire with fire is definitely a great option for this ship. So I hope you enjoyed the review. Hope you enjoyed some of the fun gameplay we've got going on in the background. Thank you very much for stopping by. If you've made it this far, please just take the 2 seconds to slap that thumbs up and maybe drop a comment to help with the algorithm. And on that bombshell, until next time, take care.